Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tight Talk on Turnbuckles, and we are at the top of Titan Towers today, bringing you all of your wrestling news and needs. This is Royal Rumble weekend. We came to you guys yesterday with a Royal Rumble preview, and I got to be honest, it was a stellar event. I enjoyed it thoroughly. My loved ones did as well. Popped for a bunch of different moments. Had some letdowns, in my opinion, as well. But I want to dig into it. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry. A little bit of flatulence. Fred, how'd you feel about the event?
Oh man, it was one of the first pay-per-views I've watched in a while, and
Yeah.
it gave me that old-time wrestling feel. I loved it. That's about as much as I can say that'll just sum it up as easy as possible. I loved it.
Yeah. Um, Man, it's these big four events. The big four, for fans who don't know what that is. Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam. The big four are always great events to bring in people who are lapsed fans, or new fans, or returning fans in any way, shape, or form, or just great events for a fan that watches all the time but may not agree with the product consistently enough to watch it day by day, week by week, week to week. That's kind of myself right now with WWE. It's not that I don't watch it. I can't watch it. I just won't. They got rid of most people from NXT and fired a bunch of the main rosters. So that also will be a point that I'll bring up later when it comes to the men's Rumble. But all in all, I think that the event was stellar, and I'd love to dig into the card. So what do you think about doing it, getting into it?
Let's do it.
What was first on the list? What was it?
Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
Right. So from the door, we got the Shield history between Rollins and Reigns. Shout out John Moxley. I'm in the middle of his book right now. He was the third member of the Shield, as one Dean Ambrose. It was a great match. I expected nothing less from those two. I feel like it could have been a bit better if it was fleshed out a bit more with maybe like 10 minutes more time-wise, but it was good. A bit spotty. Pedigree, spear, stomp, like just a bunch of just finishers, Superman punches. Like there wasn't a lot of gumption when it came to the in-ring story of the match. But again, the psychology was there. To me, it felt like a Joker Batman, how far can I push him type deal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I love the psychology of it. I think Seth Rollins is one of the greatest at that today. Roman Reigns operating at high capacity as always, doing some of the best heel work of the last 10 years. Best work of the last 10 years, honestly. It was definitely a spectacle, man. The only complaint that I have about the match really is time. I feel like I wish they would have got more time.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. No? What do you think?
Definitely. I can definitely actually agree with that because I remember watching the match and then I started saying something to my dad and I look over and the match is just over. It was legit it felt like a 3 to 6 minute match.
It was pretty short. I think it might have clocked in somewhere around like 12 or 13, but it was pretty short. Like it wasn't that long. And I don't know, man. Like I just wanted more from them. I think Seth Rollins turned face during that match, and I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to sustain that in a world of no real baby faces right now. Yeah, man. It was just a great match. I think that the psychology was dope, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the match. What did you think as a semi-lapse fan, maybe?
I definitely felt the same way as you, I feel. I could have used a few extra minutes. It was kind of a look up and it's over type thing, honestly. But as a whole, I love their dynamic together. Like I do think they work well together, both on the same side and across the ring from each other. And
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is such a incredible performer. He's an incredible promoter. Like he, as a whole, is that package like the Hulk Hogan's and Stone Cold's, and every event he lives up to it. Like it's sometimes like you'd have John Cena having a disappointing match, or Hogan's fucking moves looking a little sloppy or something that night. Roman Reigns, never. It's legit. Like he's one of the most on his shit wrestlers at the moment.
Operates at a top level in every match, brother. Every match. And I don't know. I always saw that in him in stages where people hated him. I'm just happy to see him again working at a high capacity after a deal and being away for COVID and just not letting any of these roadblocks stop him. I also love, you know what, we're going to get to that later because that factors into the Bobby Brock. Let's give this match a rating. How many stars out of 10?
I'll say 7.5.
7.5 star rating.
Yeah.
This is an all new concept, ladies and gentlemen. So before we move on to the next one, I'm going to write that down somewhere. 7.5 stars. You know what? I just will remember it. So the next match on the card we're going to cover is Beth Phoenix and Edge. Yes, I said that. Beth Phoenix and Edge, the two Hall of Famers and legends. Two Hall of Famer in the makings. Maryse and Miz. So Maryse, former Divas champion, legend in her own right. Miz, one of the greatest heels in our business today. Very undervalued. Literally can have a great program with anybody. And to me, one of the best on the stick. So to dive right into that match, there's just not a lot to say. It was just literally the greatest nostalgia poppy match, period. Like they had the moments built in there with Miz backing into Beth, like the whole tough guy, like a girl on guys. It was very predictable. Like there was a lot of spots in it that I just knew based off of Beth's character, Miz's character, and Maryse running around for everybody. Edge, like everything was just pretty predictable for me. I didn't expect anything bad from it. I'm going to be 100% honest. For me, it was the bathroom break match because everything else was so highly anticipated. I knew what this was going to be. I knew they were going to go over. There was no surprise there. I didn't feel like there was anything at stake there, if that makes sense. So I'm going to get really quick and plain over this one. I'm going to give this 6 stars out of 10.
All right. I can see where you're coming from with that. Mine is more of a personal bias. I'm always down to just see Edge wrestle. I'll sit there like a little kid on a Saturday morning. For me, the bathroom break match was Becky Lynch versus Dewdrop.
Oh, my. We are going to get to that, too. It's the finish of the Becky Lynch Dewdrop match for me. The fucking manhandle slam from the second rope, bro. Oh, my God. That shit was sick.
But
what do you want to...
But yeah, so there's no secret that Edge and Beth Phoenix, I love both of those characters. I think Beth Phoenix came in at a very healthy time for WWE Divas again. And it was, yeah, that match was great. The Miz is a very good heel. He plays up the Ric Flair aspect of him. He's so dramatic. He's like a cartoon character. And like Edge, one of the things he's always been known for is like, when they're ready for the spear, he's making that fucking psychotic ass face. He has perfect comic book faces, and everyone knows Adam Copeland Edge is a fucking big comic book guy. So he literally takes his faces from right off the panel and does it perfectly. I love the fucking enthusiasm of him. You can see it in his eyes. Like after they won the match and he looks around the audience, every time you can see how much this man genuinely loves pro wrestling.
Exactly. And to add to his credit, he acted for the last 10 years and took a lot more classes on how to display his emotion correctly to people for the fans and audience to be able to grasp that. And I feel like it only added to him as a performer, and he's just great at illustrating emotion with his face. You're right, completely. He is, to me, the Willem Dafoe of pro wrestling with facial expressions. Easily.
I would have never thought of that on my own, but I could see it completely. Like, he is a goblin. Like, he is that fucking psycho madman in the ring. And
dude, him and Cena, 06, when they were throwing like...
That was the feud that, like, that was what brought Edge to the mainstream finally. Like he was just a tag team wrestler before that, and that like I don't know. They rewrote his whole character.
My favorite Edge moment ever as a singles is way before that. King of the Ring 2001. King of the Ring 2001. Yes, yep, 2001. I had to think, was it 2001 or 2002? But 2002 was the year Brock won. Edge won King of the Ring in 2001. That led to him winning the Intercontinental Championship. And he faced Christian at SummerSlam, around SummerSlam, for the Intercontinental title. Like, those were like, oh my God. And when him and Rey Mysterio, when SmackDown first started as its own brand in 2002, they did the Tag Team Championship series.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle versus Edge and Mysterio versus the Guerreros.
It's crazy you mentioned that, because that SummerSlam was, I'm pretty sure the first or second, but I'm pretty sure the first pay-per-view I ever watched.
Really?
Yeah. That's like
Oh,
what got me into pro wrestling. I was just at my friend's house and he got it. And I was just like, oh, this is crazy. I'm about to start watching this.
Dude, like, there's nothing like your first pay-per-view. My first one, WrestleMania 14. It was April something. I'm going to say April 8th. Maybe April 8th, 1998. Yep, I can remember it like it was yesterday. My babysitter, my mom's ex-husband, he was just babysitting me at the time, though. He was a WCW guy, and he was teaching me about pro wrestling. I had watched WCW forever, and then he's like, oh, yeah, there's WrestleMania today. That's not WCW, but I'll show it to you. And like, I liked the WCW guys a lot, like staying in them. The first time I saw The Rock, I just like, because he looked like me, you know what I mean? Booker T looked like me too, but like, they were always at a certain, certain level. But The Rock, like, I don't know, man, that's for another pod. It's for another episode. We'll get to that. But yeah. What's your official rating for Edge, Beth versus Ms. Maurice?
Oh man, I'll probably give it a 7.5. Also, same as Reigns Rollins. I felt like even as well performed as, or well as Miz or Maurice and Beth Phoenix performed, Edge and Miz still carried that match. And
absolutely.
And if there's 4 people and only 2 of them are carrying it, that's the only reason it's so low for me, even, because I love the match.
I feel like the match would have been a better match if it were, and I'm not saying I would have preferred this, but Edge versus Miz, where they can literally, both of their wives. Yes, Beth Phoenix is a great wrestler, but she has ring rust. She hasn't been a full-time performer or even a part-time performer in over 10 years. Maurice is a bit more recent in the ring than her, but she was never really anything standoutish or spectacular when it came to in-ring action. All due respect to Maurice, though. She's a legend again in her own right and a great contributor to charities and all types of things around the world. But here on this show, we focus more on the in-ring competition, and she's just not. I'm going to agree with you there.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Next matchup, then, I guess we can cover Becky Lynch's match.
Becky Lynch versus Dewdrop, a.k.a. Piper Niven. Again, I'll cover this quick because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch. At this point, she's becoming... Am I back?
Yep.
Becky Lynch is back. That's going to happen again. It's my mom calling. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch. She is becoming a bit stale for me, the whole I'm the man gimmick. I loved it 3 years ago when it was in full tilt, but now I just feel like it's time to switch it up a little bit. However, in ring, she's still as stellar as ever, if not better. Piper Niven is amazing. I cannot wait for them to drop this whole dewdrop deal and let her be fucking Piper Niven. But only time will tell with that. Vince is a very weird dude. But yeah, it was a stellar match, and the finish was awesome. The manhandle slam from the second rope. I don't think that the loss hurt Piper Niven at all. And yeah, I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Yeah.
But that's exactly what I was going to say for that one.
Is it you?
But yeah, I would agree with that. 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
After that, we have the Women's Rumble, actually.
This is something I definitely wanted to talk about. Again, for not the sake of time, but the sake of sanity, I will give you small bullet points on what I think. I think that, geez Louise, the returns were awesome. I got everything I wanted out of this Rumble. I got everything I wanted out of both Rumbles in this Rumble, is what I meant to say. Like, we got great returns. We got people from NXT that I didn't necessarily know, but I got to know better through the match. They had a purpose of being there. We got to see the return of Lita, and most importantly for me, Mickie James coming through, showing a TNA heart, showing her title, holding it high, getting the graphic across the screen as Impact Women's Champion, World Champion. Jesus, it was just great. Am I satisfied with Ronda Rousey winning? Yes, because I feel as though they're going to tell a great story with it. It was good to see her and Shayna hook up. It was just good to see Shayna, period. I loved Charlotte Flair in it. Michelle McCool, I believe it was Michelle McCool with that fucking, oh my Lord, that hellacious big boot from the top rope. Jesus, that was heart-stopping. I'm going to give that match a 10 out of 10. I loved it.
All right. Yeah, man. Like, a person that I actually loved in that, fucking Natalya, bro. She was probably like, what, number 7 in or whatever? And she was there until, like, Ronda Rousey was in. Like, that was insane. She was such a long runner. She was, like, performing well most of the match.
Yeah.
Like you said, Charlotte Flair was on point. Her fucking performance and hamming it up, and every time she beats someone doing her fucking Ric Flair praise me fucking pose, it was a classic, bro. It felt just like a fucking Ric Flair match. But the highlight of that shit for me definitely was Lita. She came in and absolutely, like, all her moves were executed so properly. You can tell, like, that she's from a different era of wrestling than the rest of them. Her, like, swinging leg DDT that she fucking hits Charlotte Flair with the second she gets in the ring is so fucking perfect, bro. You could, like, feel the impact of her hit the mat. And, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I wish we would have got to see her go off the top rope at the end, give her some of that fucking Hardy Boys old school love. But
Hell yeah.
that's exactly how she got eliminated, sadly. Uh,
Yeah.
Mickie
Point to say,
James, Mickie James looked better than ever. Absolutely came in and killed it. I'm a little surprised. I would have liked to see her take it, honestly. Like, that would have been insane. But
yeah.
they're never gonna. I mean, I won't say never, but at the current pacing of how the show relations are going, they won't give her both shows titles.
And I will say this. I do have one complaint about the match, but before I give it, I do want to say shout out to all the former divas that returned. Michelle McCool, Ivory, Mighty Molly, Alicia Fox, Kelly, Summer Rae, Lita, and just to say a few, if I'm missing anybody, I'm sorry. But my only complaint about that match is that they did not let Ivory cut that full promo. When she came out with the right to censor bow tie and shit on and starts talking about, I see a bunch of lost little girls, and the girl picks her up and she starts like, I want to see women. And I wanted to hear that. Like, I kind of wanted to see where they were going with that. I was like, ooh, wait a minute. Here, like, this is, if they'd give that gimmick to, because they kind of gave it to the one, oh my God, her name is like fucking escaping me right now. The blonde Charlotte Flair wannabe girl who like was with Ric Flair recently, and like she has like the whole punch deal. She kind of had like an old school, old women in the fucking kitchen making flags for the army vibe type deal with her. But like, if they gave that gimmick, like a woman who's disgusted with women nowadays and she could provide a higher class of women, it had me. It fucking had me. And then like she's still cutting the promo as she's in the deal and they're throwing her. I'm just like, fuck, like they could have just let her go for like 10 more seconds. I wanted to hear that. So hopefully we can see her come back and be a manager for somebody, because I didn't know Ivory had the fucking chops like that. But yeah, she had me, bro. Yep, that is our thoughts on the Women's Rumble. Moving, what are we at? Bobby Brock?
Yes, sir.
Bobby Brock it is. Okay. This is a match that I'm sure every small boy across the land that watched wrestling in the last 30 years has speculated on. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't bad. I have no complaints saying it was bad, but it wasn't what I wanted. I needed more. I needed more time. To me, it felt like a very similar match to Brock Goldberg from Mania a couple years back, but I don't know. Mixed in with some Brock versus Eddie Guerrero vibes, how Eddie won the title, Brock getting speared or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. Like the way that I see it, I think that they only could do but so much with those two characters without damaging either one. Especially the fact that the match was never really supposed to happen, that they had an actual trajectory they were still clearly trying to follow, getting Brock and Roman here. I think that Bobby getting the win, regardless of how cheap it was, even though I do think it was cheap, is great for Bobby. Now we can just move past it. We can just pretend this isn't happening anymore. Bobby has the belt. Let's get back to finding him a credible challenger and getting him on the road to WrestleMania. So the match was good. Had a couple good spots. Nothing spectacular to speak of. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I can agree with that. Overall, I felt like it definitely had its good moments. It had like the big theatrics of the Clash of the Titans fucking aspect of it all. And it felt like a good old school wrestling match. But yeah, I definitely feel like with how much buildup us as fans have had of this match, Bobby Lashley deserved a more righteous win than that. He deserved to actually beat Brock Lesnar. Because if it comes down to it, if Brock Lesnar didn't accidentally knock out the ref, he would have won. So at that point in my mind, Bobby Lashley doesn't deserve that belt even. But
yeah,
they're going to disregard that because Brock Lesnar's on the warpath for Roman. So
yeah.
like Bobby's just going to be like, "Oh, cool. Got my belt." Why?
Got the belt and he's just going to move on to the next challenger. And like the way, speaking on like the way that Bobby obtained the belt, we didn't really cover it. We got Roman Reigns popping up, screwing Brock through Paul Heyman, having Paul Heyman hand him Brock's WWE Championship, smacking Brock over the head with it, allowing Bobby to hit the spear, or he didn't even hit his finish. I think he just like pins him off of that. But I don't know. Like I said, I get the whole like cheap deal with it, but I'm just ready to see Bobby on another title reign. I just want to speed past this. Like it was just a means to an end to get the title on Bobby, to get Roman and Brock back in the carriage together, heading that way. And that's where we are now.
So who do you think Bobby's going to go up against at WrestleMania then? Who do you think's going to be? Well, yeah. Who do you think Who do you think his matchup will be?
Seth Rollins.
Oh man, I would like to see that. That would make sense. Swap
He's on.
opponents for WrestleMania.
But that's the deal. It's not really a swap. That was the swap because Seth Rollins is on Raw with Bobby. He's not on SmackDown with Reigns. He just got traded over briefly to do that. Same deal with Brock Lesnar. He's a SmackDown superstar. He's not on Raw. I mean, he's a free agent and can go back and forth, but clearly his deal is with the SmackDown champion. So he's a SmackDown guy.
Word.
Hmm.
But yeah, so after all that, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't as good as the Roman Reigns Seth Rollins match in terms of like theatrics and story and stuff, but I do think the performance was better.
Yeah.
But as a whole, yeah, I giving it a harsh rating, I'll say 7 out of 10. But I did enjoy the match. I enjoyed it a lot.
Definitely same. Which brings us to the men's rumble, our coup de grace, if you will.
Woo!
Well, I'll let you.
Wait, what's up?
I'll let you start this one.
All right. Man, as a whole, I enjoyed the Rumble. I'm pretty sure I love the Women's Rumble. I'll just say this right out the gate. I think I love the Women's Rumble way more than the Men's Rumble. Like, that was the best match of the event. And while I do feel like this is the second best match in the event, the ending kind of disappointed me. It was nothing about the performances during the match. I feel like, all right, so I guess we got to get into this now. Number 30 in the Royal Rumble for the men's division, Brock fucking Lesnar loses his title and immediately just disregards Bobby Lashley and comes for Roman Reigns' head for fucking doing him dirty during the match. And that was a little disappointing. It's almost like he didn't need the match against Bobby Lashley, but he just happened to have the title at that point.
Yeah.
AJ Styles coming in at fucking number 1 and just absolutely wreaking havoc till for 28 minutes, I think they said, by the time he was out. That's incredible. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the performances. Actually, Bad Bunny surprised me. Johnny Knoxville surprised me that he wasn't just there to get his shit kicked.
Yeah.
He came in there and actually performed a little bit, and I enjoyed that. But yeah, overall, I will give that one. I'll say that one was probably an 8 out of 10 for me.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, my thoughts on the men's Rumble. I was a bit underwhelmed. I was hoping for some forbidden door knocking. Didn't really get any of that. The biggest surprise was Shane McMahon, and that was 2016 to 2019 run. I'm burnt out on him. I don't really care about seeing him anymore. I did enjoy the Nakamura style stuff, AJ Styles period. I was just really hoping to see some Impact guys. I really wanted to see Moose, the Impact World Champion, walk down the ring, or John Moxley, Chris Jericho, one of those dudes. Even some MLW guys, some free agents, bring back make Samoa Joe appear. He got released, but that would just be cool. Like, it'd just be something cool. And that's what they ran low on in the men's Rumble for me. Was cool. A bunch of jobbers. It was a bunch of tag team guys. I swear to God, like, after number 3, I think like everybody was either a part of a tag team or just some lower tier guy.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else was just, I don't know. They fired most of their roster, so they didn't really have much to work with. And apparently they didn't know that the forbidden door is cocked open with flies coming through it. So I don't know. Well,
that's what tripped me out about it is I didn't really know most of the wrestlers in this Royal Rumble. I'm not caught up on wrestling knowledge and stuff, but yeah, it was a lot of no-namers, and you could tell that if you could flip to another fucking wrestling program, that's where the guys are.
Yeah, they fired everybody and they went there. Or I went there because there's so many places to work now. But underwhelmed, to say the least, and I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Ooh, that was lower than I expected, but I do understand where you're coming from. I definitely understand.
It was decent.
At that point, well, that covers our whole program.
Yep. Let's do a final rating, you think? Like a complete overall rating for the show?
Yeah. Despite us really only having one match above an 8, I'm going to overall give the pay-per-view an 8.5 out of 10. Like, the women's match really was such a fucking good match alone. If that would have ended the pay-per-view and it was only the second match. If that would have ended the pay-per-view, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
So 8.5.
And I will also second your 8.5. So I guess our official Pages, Pictures, and Panels Tight Talk on Turnbuckles rating of the 2022 WWE Royal Rumble is an 8.5 out of 10.
Yep.
Yep. So we will be back with some reviews this week, some Raw, SmackDown, AEW reviews, some news too. This is a new segment again on the Pages, Pictures, and Panels podcast network. I, myself, Sodian, will be back this week, next week, and every week after with all your wrestling news and needs with my co-host, Roach Boy Red. And we'll see you guys on Pages, Pictures, and Panels next up. Later.